Pollution Control District. Let's have a roll call.
Director Clark. Lavanino. I think you're muted.
I'm here.
Yep. Perotti.
Present.
Adam.
Here.
Mosby.
There.
Patino. Waterfield.
Waterfield's here for Patino.
Jubalcaba. Sierra.
Here.
Toussaint. Hart.
Here.
Hartman.
Here.
Murillo.
Here.
And Chair Williams.
Here. So yes, this is Chair Williams, in case the haircut and the mask threw you off. If my wife is creating these masks where you actually can speak into a microphone with them, but if it sounds mumbling, please let me know. And with that, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Chair Williams?
Yes.
This is Al Clark, and I'm present.
Great. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Is there any request to speak on or pull any of the administrative items?
Yeah, I would like to pull item 6 and item 8.
Item 6 and item 8. Is there any members of the public that wish to speak on any of the items?
No public comment.
Okay. Then, Director Adam, would you like to talk about D6 or D8?
I'm sorry, Chair Williams.
Yeah,
I
let's
have to
start
read
with
the item
6.
into the record. I have to read the item into the record?
Please.
Okay. Item D6.
Yeah, go ahead.
Resolution for delegating authority to the Air Pollution Control Officer for approving employee benefit plan renewals. Adopt a resolution delegating authority to the Air Pollution Control Officer to amend, enter into, and renew contracts for multiple employee benefit insurance plans to become effective January 1st, 2021 for the 2021 calendar year.
Mr. Adam?
Okay, thank you. Ms. Arlen Jeanette, can you tell me whether this is a one-time intended deal or is this a continuing?
This is an annual request that we put before your board each year at the October board meeting. We have a benefits committee at the APCD, and they go over the available benefits that were provided, and if needed, seek out other options. And then once they come up with recommendations, I work based on the authority provided by the board. I then enter into the benefit plan renewal.
Okay, so this is coming back every year. This isn't a resolution delegating authority to renew contracts.
No, it's for 1 year.
It's just a one-time.
Yes.
Okay, all right. And the same thing with 8?
Correct.
Okay. I withdraw my questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Adam. Is there a motion on the administrative items?
Move the consent calendar.
All those, roll call, please.
Director Clark. Lavanino.
Aye.
Perotti.
Aye.
Adam.
Aye.
Mosby.
Aye.
Waterfield.
Aye.
Sierra.
Aye.
Hart. Hartman.
Aye.
Murillo.
Aye.
And Chair Williams.
Aye. Please go to the item E, the Director's Report.
Chair Williams, I think we missed the approval of the minutes.
Is there a motion on the minutes?
Second?
There's a motion by Hart, a second by Hartman. Roll call, please.
Director Clark,
Aye.
Lavanino,
Aye.
Perotti,
Aye.
Adam,
Aye.
Mosby,
Aye.
Waterfield,
Abstain.
Sierra,
Aye.
Hart, Hartman,
Aye.
Murillo,
Aye.
and Chair Williams.
Aye. Then item E, the director's report.
All right, to start off with, I have a few slides on air quality conditions. As we're all aware, we are being impacted by air pollution from wildfires happening elsewhere in California, and I think that's really a hard to believe situation that we're in, the magnitude that we're actually being impacted. So I wanted to share some slides with you, some tools that we use in forecasting for local air quality conditions, and also some new resources that EPA recently put together. California is being hit by hundreds of wildfires. I think the count is well over 300 right now. And along with heat waves and stagnant conditions, our local air quality is being compromised. And this, what you're seeing here, the two slides, they're from a Blue Skies run. And it's a model. It's not a real-time depiction, but it captures all of the wildfires that are occurring and the meteorological conditions statewide as an indicator of how we could likely be impacted from fires happening, whether it's in our area or outside our area. On the next slide, it demonstrates a new website that was launched by...
Excuse me?
Yes?
Can we see those slides up here in Santa Maria?
Definitely. I thought you were. I apologize. Let's stop it and see if we can go back.
No, the meeting in the colonies doesn't get the slides. Sitting at the back of the bus.
We're calling now to get IT support.
We'll just take a 2-minute, 3-minute break. So
Thank you.
feel free to take care of any other needs in these couple minutes. We are going to test our North County tech capabilities.
And how are we going to do that? Okay. I think you guys can see it now. I apologize. Thank you. Thank you for speaking up. Okay, starting from the top here. As we are all aware, smoke from wildfires burning throughout the entire state, including Monterey County, that's the closest impacting us, has significantly affected local air quality conditions. And I have a few images here to highlight the resources that we use in our forecasting and also to indicate when we need to issue an air quality warning or an air quality alert. The image that's in front of you now is a screenshot from a model called Blue Skies model. And if we had the model up and running, it would actually roll through like a video. This is just a screenshot indicating, I guess the slide before was yesterday, or is this the first one? Yesterday. And this is today. And it's a model run you can ask for specific times in the future, and it will forecast your impact. So this is for today. You could see all of the fires up in right below Salinas. Those are the 2 or 3 that are close, the most close location to us, and heading down the Salinas Valley through San Luis Obispo County and then impacting us. Next slide, please. This is an image, a screenshot once again, from a new resource that US EPA launched just last week. It's fire.airnow.gov. And the benefit of this is to indicate the air quality monitoring stations that are operated by air districts and CARB throughout the area. And all that would be the circle images. Those are the federal reference methods. No, that's correct, circles? Okay, and then the squares are the low-cost sensors. So they've actually incorporated the purple air monitors, and that's something that we've been talking about and interested in expanding here in our area. So it's nice that we have one tool where both Those two devices can be captured on one website, and they're also incorporating, you can see a few triangles in the valley or on the eastern part of the state, and those are the EBAMs. So as we're working now, we're actually in the process of deploying an EBAM down in our South County in the Carpinteria area, since we don't have a PM monitor down there. And we're able to deploy the EBAM, and that will be included into EPA's website once it's up and running. So that will be available for the public to see as well. So this is, yeah,
Yes, Director Adam.
Can I ask a question about that last slide?
definitely.
If I could have that slide up again up here in Santa Maria. What I was going to ask about is the different colors. I didn't see a color key on there, and I'm not sure why there's different colors.
Good question.
Is that an indicator of air quality?
Yes, thank you, Director Adam. I appreciate your question. Green is what we want to see up and down the state. Green is good air quality. Yellow is considered moderate, and this is all based on the air quality index chart that's been defined by US EPA. So this is based off of federal air quality standards. Orange is unhealthy for sensitive groups. Red is unhealthy for everyone. And purple is hazardous. So as you can see...
Okay, so what I'm looking at is the Santa Maria has two of those smaller squares, and those are the low-cost
Correct.
monitors.
Correct.
And then there's a circle right above them.
Yep. And that's the monitor we operate in Santa Maria.
Okay, so the darker colors are on those low-cost sensors are indicating that that's an unhealthier condition than yours is?
Yeah, and that's been part of our challenge with the low-cost sensors, is how they calibrate to the federal reference method and the level of accuracy. It's interesting in this image where the purple air sensors are showing up at a higher pollution level compared to the federal reference methods. What we were seeing yesterday, I believe it was, they were actually illustrating better air quality than what was captured in our federal reference method. So we still, that's, I think, the benefit of this new map that EPA provides. If we can try to increase awareness of the importance of the circles, the permanent monitors, and use that as assurance of solid data that's being collected, and then key that off of the low-cost sensors as we go about making our decisions.
Well, I think what you're talking about is just a inherent inaccuracy in those low-cost sensors, because if they were better than yours yesterday and worse than yours today, then I would say that calls into question their use ultimately for any kind of a regulatory or even advisory purpose, because
Yeah.
if they're not as accurate as what you're putting out in your EBAMs, then I don't understand why we're tracking those things.
Well, we're using it just as a tool here. It's not anything regulatory. It's public awareness. And we have some of those that we were provided by CARB that we deployed, the purple airs, and some that we purchased on our own. They're being purchased and installed and then subject to this Fire Air Now map regardless. So what we use is our federal reference methods to make our decisions and our regulatory or, issuance of a public news release.
Well, I get it, but that information's out there for the public to digest, right?
Definitely, and that was part of my big concern with what EPA was doing, pulling in the low-cost sensors to their AirNow map. I'm
I
actually
agree,
surprised they match so closely.
If we're trying to give people rational, accurate information to make a rational decision on about whether they exercise or whether they close their house down and trade, like at my house, we're trading some heat for some air quality. And then, later in the evenings, because we don't have air conditioning, we're having to say, okay, it's time to let the smoke in because we got to let the heat out. So, people may be relying on that to their detriment, and I don't think that's a good idea. So I would say, we should probably do what we can to get those guys to take that off of that map and take that information down if it's inaccurate.
The problem with taking it down is we would be one of the only counties in the state that wouldn't have any of that information at all. And it does provide trend information, even though it might not be 100% corresponding with the federal reference method. I think if we could move forward with the awareness campaign of the importance to reference the monitors that we manage, and also work with EPA on correlation equations that could better align the low-cost sensors to our federal reference methods, that may allow us to maintain this information that's out there for the public while improving the overall accuracy of the entire network, whether it's the network we manage or the network that individuals who purchase the low-cost sensors are able to have. There's a Purple Air website absent from this that it just automatically populates once you purchase one of those. The benefits of these low-cost sensors is it can reach areas where our federal methods aren't located. And we have limited resources that aren't close to where individuals live and go out and get active in. So I do see a benefit for using it, but cautioning individuals to base all of their actions on Purple Air low-cost sensors, I think, is a very valid point.
Thank you.
Please proceed.
Okay. All right. So in addition to exceedances of the state's PM standard yesterday, due to the increase of NOx levels from the smoke, high temperatures, and stagnant air masses, the county also exceeded state and federal ozone standards on Tuesday and Wednesday at the Paradise Road monitoring station. Due to the linkage of these exceedances and the wildfires, we are gathering all the data needed in order to prepare for the submittal of an exceptional event to ensure that the exceedances, the ozone exceedances, don't infringe on our recent attainment standard for the ozone standard. Once we started becoming impacted by the smoke from wildfires outside of our area, we began a social media campaign posting on our Twitter, on our Nextdoor, trying to increase just general awareness, use common sense. Last night, in conjunction with public health, and it was associated to the high levels of PM that we were measuring at our Santa Maria and Lompoc station, we issued a joint press release. It was in English and Spanish and distributed widely throughout the region. Our primary focus is for individuals to stay aware of their local air quality conditions. If they are impacted by the smoke, to stay inside as much as possible in a clean air room environment. And we also included some guidance regarding the usage of N95 masks for essential workers and the ineffectiveness of the cloth face coverings to protect individuals from the harmful effects of smoke. I think that's one of the largest challenges we're in right now. One, N95 masks are limited in their availability and need to be reserved for individuals who are frontline workers, whether it's healthcare personnel or working out in the field when we exceed the AQI of 150. That's a Cal OSHA requirement currently. And the confusion of a face cloth covering and what this will do or won't do when you go outside to protect you from smoke impacts. We're also in the process of placing ads in English, Spanish, Mixteco to promote awareness of air quality and the importance of clean air rooms, and those ads will start tomorrow. That wraps up my information associated with the local air quality. I have 2 more items I'd like to move into. All right, next item is our 50th anniversary plans. It's very exciting. On September 14th, the Santa Barbara County Air Pollution Control District will reach a significant milestone. We are turning 50 years young. In 1970, California legislature passed a law giving local governments primary responsibility for controlling air pollution from stationary sources. In the mid-90s, there was additional legislation creating an independent agencies and bringing city representatives to our board in addition to the Board of Supervisors. For this milestone celebration, we brought together a planning committee composed of current and former staff, APCOs, and members of our Community Advisory Council to help develop how we want to move forward with this milestone. Our goal is to celebrate the 50 years of services and accomplishments, highlighting the partnerships and promoting current programs and projects. COVID has definitely impacted what we would like to do, realizing physical gatherings will not be occurring in the near future. We will be kicking off a special social media campaign with the anniversary-related series of posts, and that will occur over the next 12 months. We're also developing a short video, pulling in news clips, images that we have to highlight our history, accomplishments, and milestones. And ideally, if COVID permits, we would like to show this video in conjunction with the panel discussion at a local venue. And then later in spring, summer of 2021, as COVID allows, we will have a very low-key golf tournament for staff, alumni, and other interested parties, definitely our Community Advisory Council, definitely any members of our board, with an opportunity to celebrate our accomplishments and to raise funds for a local nonprofit. So I will keep you updated as our plans shape up. And then the last item, I just wanted to bring to your attention that our 2020 Clean Air Grants will soon be launched. We're going to send out an email early in September for a 45-day window to accept grant recipients. This year, we have $1.6 million for local emission reduction projects such as on-road trucks, agricultural equipment, infrastructure, and school buses. Our outreach efforts will include an email to over 500 interested parties, and this will be sent out in advance of the launch to give everyone a heads up. We'll have a bilingual flyer that will describe the program, and that will also be distributed via email and at local dealers and installers to help promote the program. A news release to announce when the program is open for applications. We will be holding a number of meetings with local dealers, Farm Bureau, ag commissioners, school districts, interested parties. And lastly, we will be including a countywide online bilingual survey asking community members about the air quality concerns in our Clean Air Grant program. That is part of the requirement associated with the Clean Air Partnership of AB 617, is to engage communities throughout the entire region. So that wraps up my APCO report.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Director Maria.
Ms. Arlen Janae, so I know that N95 masks are recommended when you're outside trying to stop particulates from you don't want to breathe those in. Maybe this is a question for the public health officer in terms of pandemic. So maybe when you're out there not near people, it's N95, and then you switch to the other mask where you're trying to keep your droplets to yourself. Are you the right person to ask that question?
And we're struggling with the messaging on this because it is so confusing, and working with the health department is very much key. N95 masks, especially those with the vents on, do nothing for COVID. Okay. So that would be solely for protecting you from particles on the outside coming in. N95 masks are also very limited in their supply. Okay. So what we're really trying to focus on is, if you can, to stay indoors and to limit your time outside and limit the need for all of us to have to go and purchase and use N95 masks, and trying to reserve those as much as possible for the healthcare sector,
Thank
and
you.
also the agricultural workers. Those, or any individual that has to be outside as part of their work environment. And when they're outside, they need it. When it reaches the air quality index of 150, Cal OSHA requires all employers to provide N95 masks when our air quality reaches that level. And currently up in Santa Maria and the Lompoc area, we are reaching that level.
Thank you for that clarification. And if we're telling people to stay home, that's a great COVID message too. So you're not out there breathing on somebody or breathing their air, and you're not breathing in particulates. So good advice. Stay inside, stay home. Okay.
And stay cool. And I know
And
that's
stay cool.
that's a challenge right now with the heat wave that we're faced with. So
Okay. And then my other question, when exactly is the 50th anniversary? Because we should have cake or cupcakes or something.
September 14th, I believe, is when we
Oh,
actually,
so-
it's our birthday.
So this year? Okay.
This year, and that's why we're in the midst of COVID. We can't have donuts and cake right now. So we're feeling that when we have our golf tournament, we can push it out into the entire year. And in addition to an outdoor environment where social distancing's allowed, we can also have either a picnic or a
So
food
next
truck.
year,
Yeah.
we'll look to better
And a
times.
cake.
And cake. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Public comment?
No public comments.
And then we have one item for presentation.
Discussion item G1, overview of the district's asbestos program. Receive and file a presentation on the district's asbestos program.
All right, today, Brian Wong, Air Quality Specialist in our Compliance Division, will be providing the presentation. He's been at the district for over 5 years now, and this is his first presentation, and I'm very excited. He has show and tell, and I apologize, we'll have to see if Silvio or Dante can zoom in on the show and tell equipment, since it's not in both locations here in North County, so I apologize, North County, and those that are on Zoom. Brian?
Your microphone? Yeah.
Sorry. Before I begin, I just want to make sure everyone can see the presentation. Okay. So good afternoon, members of the board. As Aaron said, my name is Brian Wong, and I am one of our district's asbestos inspectors. And today I'll be providing you with an overview of our asbestos program. My presentation will last approximately 10 minutes, and there will be time at the end for questions. During this presentation, I'll identify where asbestos originates, its unique properties, and what types of products it has been used in. I will discuss some of the health hazards associated with asbestos exposure, and will review how these risks are limited through regulation. Specifically, I will cover the federal asbestos NESHAP regulation that our district enforces throughout our county. I'll explain what activities are subject to this regulation and the primary work practices required to limit public exposure to asbestos. And lastly, I will share how our district implements the asbestos NESHAP and carries out our asbestos program. I will describe the notification process and inspection techniques and share some of our safety equipment and tools we use. Asbestos is a group of 6 naturally occurring minerals. These minerals are made up of microscopic, lightweight fibers. Chrysotile asbestos can be found in the veins of California's state rock, serpentine, which is in the bottom left of this slide, and was the greenish-colored rock pictured on the previous 2. Throughout history, these minerals have been mined for their unique physical properties, such as being resistant to heat, corrosion, absorbing sound, and having high tensile strength. These properties have made the use of asbestos widespread in the construction industry, and until the late 1970s, asbestos was used in spray-on insulation and fireproofing. Today, asbestos can still be used in some construction materials, such as tiles and mastics. And unfortunately, Through its widespread use over many decades, asbestos has been linked to severe health issues. Asbestos is most hazardous when it is friable, and the term friable means that when dry, the material can be easily crumbled by hand, releasing fibers into the air. Sprayed on asbestos insulation, for example, is highly friable. Asbestos floor tile, when in good condition, is not. The most common way for asbestos fibers to enter the body is through breathing. And asbestos-containing material is generally not considered hazardous unless it is releasing dust or fibers into the air where it could be inhaled. And because it's so hard to destroy asbestos fibers, the body can't break them down or remove them once they're lodged into our lungs or other body tissues. They'll remain in place and cause diseases such as lung cancer, asbestosis, mesothelioma, and the symptoms of these diseases are generally don't show themselves for up to 20 years. And while these lung-related illnesses are the most common associated with asbestos exposure, exposure to asbestos has also been linked to cancers in other parts of the body, including the esophagus, diaphragm, and the heart. And since there's no safe level of exposure to asbestos, all asbestos exposure should be avoided. People who are exposed more frequently over long periods of time are more at risk to developing asbestos-related illnesses. And today, most asbestos exposure is caused when asbestos-containing material is crumbled, broken during demolition and renovation work. So to limit these risks, in 1973, under the Clean Air Act, the EPA established the National Emission Standards for Hazardous Air Pollutants, or the asbestos NESHAP. The goal of the asbestos NESHAP is to minimize the release of asbestos-containing material during subject demolition and renovation activities. Our district is delegated by the EPA to enforce the asbestos NESHAP in our county, and the asbestos NESHAP is adopted and referenced by District Rule 1001. The regulation includes survey and notification requirements prior to beginning a project, as well as work practice standards and disposal requirements during subject renovation and demolition activities. So the asbestos NESHAP applies to most, but not all, buildings, structures, and installations. The regulation specifically exempts single-family residences and buildings containing 4 or fewer dwelling units. Most everything else is considered a facility. For facilities undergoing a renovation or demolition, the asbestos NESHAP requires a thorough inspection be conducted prior to work, regardless of the facility's age. This is because the EPA did not ban all asbestos products, and legacy asbestos-containing materials can still be present. The goal of the inspection is to identify asbestos-containing material in the project area and should be done by an accredited person. The notification requirement is dependent on the results of this survey. If regulated asbestos-containing material, or RACM, is found and the total amount meets a certain threshold, notification to our district is required, and asbestos NESHAP's work practice and disposal requirements must be met. Regulated asbestos-containing material is material that contains 1% or more asbestos and is or will become friable over the course of renovation or demolition work. The threshold amounts are at least 260 linear feet, and that's typically used to measure the distance on pipes, or 160 square feet, which is used for things like ceilings or flooring, or the total volumes at least 35 cubic feet, which is about the size of half of a pickup truck. The notification requirement is applicable for demolition work regardless of asbestos being in the building. And the notification should be made at least 10 days in advance to beginning work. And our district has developed a form that applicants can use to satisfy the NESHAP requirements. This 10-day notification gives our agency time to review the details of the project, ensure that the survey and work plans are complete prior to beginning renovation or demolition work. So during removal, the asbestos NESHAP requires specific work practices to control the release of asbestos fibers. The principal requirements include wetting the material throughout the entire process. So this will include collecting, containing, treating, transporting, and disposing of the material. Other requirements include encasing all removed material in leak-type wrapping, having no visible emissions to the outside air, and ensuring at least one trained supervisor remains on site to ensure that these requirements are met. Disposal requirements include collecting asbestos waste in clearly labeled bags and disposing it at landfills that accept asbestos. And in our county, there are no asbestos landfills. The photo on this slide shows a worker performing what's known as the glove bag method of asbestos removal. And this technique uses a small-scale friable asbestos removal rather than a full containment. And it provides an easy and install quick way to dismantle the containment, and it isolates it within. But it's still important to wet the material. I'm not sure if you guys can tell, but there is some water droplets within that material, so showing that it's been wetted down. And it's also important that the person still wear PPE or personal protective equipment. So our district, we implement the asbestos NESHAP by reviewing asbestos surveys and notifications. Again, we check those for thoroughness, accuracy, and completeness. We also inspect demolitions and asbestos removal projects to ensure that proper work practices are being met. When asbestos-related complaints are received, we will investigate. And complaints are typically received when the public suspects they've been exposed to asbestos fibers, observe dust emissions from construction projects, or know or observe improper removal or disposal of asbestos-containing waste. This image shows, a job that might result in a complaint. For instance, if this was an apartment building and we received a complaint, we'd first check to see if we were notified. If we were not, we would investigate and ask the owner and contractor if they performed an asbestos survey. If they could not provide one, we would request that they stop work until samples of the disturbed material could be analyzed. And then if asbestos was found, we'd request that work remain stopped until the area could be cleaned and abated by a certified asbestos contractor. And when we find violations, we take enforcement action by issuing notices of violation. And to give you guys an idea about how many notifications and complaints we received on an annual basis, over the past 5 years, our district has received an average of 103 notifications and 9 complaints per year. And we're currently tracking the asbestos notifications closely to see how the impacts of COVID-19 may affect these types of projects. So in addition to our NESHAP responsibilities to support our program's goals and our district's goals as a whole, we work closely with other air districts to ensure the asbestos NESHAP is being implemented consistently and objectively. We'll also coordinate with municipal building departments throughout our county to identify projects that are subject to the asbestos NESHAP. And many of our building departments require our agencies sign off prior to them issuing their building permits. When district violations are discovered, depending on the issue, we will notify local building departments, county CUPA, and OSHA so that they can review their specific rules and regulations. Additionally, we report our asbestos work to EPA twice a year as part of the EPA 105 grant. It's also our goal to increase public awareness about asbestos hazards, increase their understanding about how asbestos is regulated, and share how they can limit their exposure to asbestos and protect their health. We have a pretty substantial website with a lot of information about asbestos, and district staff, including myself, is accessible to answer questions via phone or email. And this image illustrates just how important it is to have these open lines of communication and public education. High-profile jobs like this one on the pier might result in complaints, and it's good to have that working relationship with building departments so that we're aware of work going on. So to carry out our jobs safely and effectively, district asbestos inspectors, like myself, we maintain EPA building inspector and contractor supervisor certifications. These certifications are renewed every year. And then we're also assigned and provided personal protective equipment, such as a respirator, which we're fit tested on every year. We're also given Tyvek suits and gloves and footwear, and we use duct tape to seal up all those areas that may be open to the outside air, such as the cuffs and ankles. So tools used during inspections include, it's not listed on this slide, but an important one is a spray bottle to wet any material that we plan on sampling, a knife or a scraper, something sharp to take the sample, sealable bags to store them, markers to label them, and chain of custody forms so that if we are to send them to a lab, we maintain that chain of custody. One of the newest additions to our toolkit is our microphaser, AS, standing for asbestos. That's this device here. Looks like something from Star Trek. And what's awesome about this piece of equipment, it allows us to screen asbestos samples in real time. So we're able to save time and laboratory costs and also leave job sites with confidence that we understand what the situation's like before we leave. And samples are still sent to a certified lab for analysis per the NESHAP standards. So to give you guys an idea of how this device works, it's very simple. There's a trigger like you would find on a gun. And basically you just need to boot it up, calibrate it, and once you have your sample in a plastic baggie, you just hold it up. And lamp's turning on now, but assuming it was on before, it would just take a couple seconds to take a sample. So we'll let the lamp turn on and I'll run one sample. So taking the sample now. So this is a sample of sheet vinyl flooring with mastic, and not sure if everyone can see it or anyone can see it, but this graph is like a cowboy hat or like the Arby's logo where there's a dip in the middle, and that's usually what you'll find when there is an asbestos reading found, and it will display the species type of asbestos. So this is showing that it's either andesite or chrysotile asbestos, which are usually the ones found in building materials. So with that knowledge, leaving a job site, like knowing that, it just gives us further backing. So if we did stop a job, it gives us something to point to rather than having to wait several days for samples to be sent to and analyzed by a lab. And just, makes our mission to protect the public that more realized. So that concludes the bulk of my presentation. I can open it up to questions now, And my contact information is on this slide, so if they come up later, feel free to reach out to me. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. Questions from directors?
I have one question. Etta Waterfield. What is non-friable asbestos? Is that something that is not as dangerous as what you just explained?
Correct. Asbestos that's kept non-friable does not present a health hazard. Typically, non-friable asbestos is categorized as either category 1 or 2. 2 is things like cements and tiles that are not likely to become broken. You can't really break them with your hand, but they are more likely to become damaged during renovation or demolition. Category 1 non-friable asbestos would be things like mastics, which is a glue-type substance. And even when broken, the mastics will tend to keep the fibers encased within the glue. So it's the least hazardous category.
And so those can be taken to a landfill without any issue?
As long as they are in a non-friable state, or a non-regulated state, I should say, they can be disposed at any municipal landfill. But it's the landfill's responsibility under the NESHAP to ensure that they're not collecting any waste that they shouldn't.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions from the board? Motion to receive and file?
So moved.
That's a motion by Adam and a second by Hart. Roll call, please.
And Mr. Chair, just confirming public comment.
Oh, yes, is there public comment on this item?
No public comment.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Director Clark,
Aye.
Lavanino,
Aye.
Perotti,
Aye.
Adam,
Aye.
Mosby,
Aye.
Waterfield,
Aye.
Sierra,
Aye.
Hart,
Aye.
Hartman,
Aye.
Murillo,
Aye.
and Chair Williams.
Aye. Well, there's only one announcement left before adjournment. This meeting will be rebroadcast on Sunday, August 23rd at 5 p.m., and the hearing board nominating committee will meet immediately following the conclusion. And now I am adjourning the meeting. Thank you so much.